Back then in the year 2005, when I was still struggling to learn and master Microsoft Excel for data analysis, there is one thing that really frustrated me, and that is I couldn't find one single place where I could go or a single course that I could jump on that would move me as a beginner by then from beginner concepts all the way through to advanced data analysis concepts inside Microsoft Excel. And if you're like me back then, I'm here to bridge that gap for you. And this is what I have really done. I've put together a completely free Excel course that will introduce you to beginner level concepts of data analysis inside Microsoft Excel, all the way through to advanced concepts of data analysis using Microsoft Excel. And this is my promise to you. By the end of this course, you will master all the formulas and functions that you need as a data analyst, as well as all the features and tools like Power Query, the Power Pivot, the data model, the Excel official tables, DAX, and also dashboard designing, and so much more. If you want to acquire a certificate of completion after going through this entire course, you also register. I've put the link in the description so that you can attempt all the exercises and exams, and once you pass them, we shall email you your certificate. For now, let's jump into our first lesson, introducing you to Microsoft Excel in general. In this particular class, our objective is to understand Excel and what it is used for. There are so many things that this tool does. Some of them, we already know them. You can actually let us know and contribute to this particular class. Maybe I'll just discuss with you a few of the things that I know Excel does, and then you'll add on top of this, because everyone uses Excel differently, okay? I'll just give you general kind of usages, and then you can customize it now to your department. All right. By definition, Excel is an electronic spreadsheet program, and it's one of the most used spreadsheet applications in the world right now. I keep telling you about the 750 million users, and this number has been growing. People really love, or this particular tool has been chosen by so many people, including yourself. You're part of the 750 million users across the entire world. Now, you might be asking yourself, what is a spreadsheet program? Okay. This is any system that you use that captures and displays your data or manipulates your data for as long as it's arranged in rows and columns. That qualifies to be a spreadsheet program. You might be asking yourself, is Excel the only spreadsheet application in the world? Of course, we keep talking about Microsoft Excel, but is it the only tool that you can use as a spreadsheet application? Of course, the answer is a no. There are so many other spreadsheet applications, okay? Including the popular one, which is actually gaining some popularity, and that is Google Sheets. I believe some of us here who are joining this particular call, you have either used Excel or Google Sheets. Yes, because these tools are actually owned by technology companies that are huge. Microsoft Excel is from Microsoft as a company, and Google Sheets is from Google itself. You know, there is no way you can avoid using products from these two big companies here. I believe everyone might be touching something that belongs to these two tech companies here, Google and Microsoft. So they move together. So Google also introduced their application, which is called Google Sheets, which is a spreadsheet application that you can use that works similar to what Excel does. But of course, the environment where it runs and how the system runs entirely is different away from Microsoft Excel. We also have several other spreadsheet applications like Smartsheets. For those who have seen it, you let us know in the comments. I'll take time and go there to read. We also have WPS. There are people who have been using WPS. I believe if you have an Android phone, you might have seen WPS pre-installed when you buy that Android mobile phones. Sometimes it comes when it is pre-installed. And we also have LibreOffice. I believe people coming from maybe the UK, those people have interacted with these systems. We also have Sheets Go for our iOS users or iPhone users. We have that particular app there. It's also a spreadsheet. We also have Sheets and so many others. This is just a very small list that I've given you just to show that spreadsheet applications are very many in the market, but Microsoft Excel is the leader. Even though I said that Google Sheets is trying to gain some popularity because of the owner of this particular tool. All right. If you have any questions, please feel free to interject and ask a question. I'll pick time and, give chance. Or if you unmute right now, I can give you the floor. You ask the question, then we move forward. Otherwise, if it's not a burning issue, you can just leave a comment. Then we shall pick time and go there to check. Let me hope that so far, so good. Okay. Now, what does Microsoft Excel do? You might be asking yourself. Of course, everyone coming to this particular course, you might have started working on something. Maybe you've joined an organization where you find that they use Microsoft Excel so much. And what are some of the things that they use Microsoft for? You can let us know in the comments, okay? But I'm going to be discussing some of them with you, okay? One of them is storing raw data. Of course, Excel deals with numbers. We know that it has the capability of storing type of raw data. Whichever form of data that you have, Excel can store that data for you, because the way how it is organized, like we did talk about at the beginning, rows and columns, it's actually suitable for housing or storing tabular data. So any form of raw data that you may think of can also be stored inside Microsoft Excel. The other one is it can actually help you for people working in finance, tracking income and expenses, and it can support you generate quick and easy reports. I believe most of the people joining this particular training, you've been using Excel to generate some reports. Isn't that one true? You let us know. The other one that I think Excel does better is analyzing the data, and it gives you capability to do data visualization and, present appealing reports to your bosses. And of course, we keep saying that if you master Excel, even your bosses will start to fall in love with you. Yes, if you master Excel and stand out, you'll be the person to support everyone at your organization. Whenever there is something that they want to do with Excel, they come to you. You help them. As you help them, you master. But again, you're also gaining popularity, and everyone will fall in love with you. You let us know in the comments in case you have some thoughts about what Excel does, and I will take time to go there and read through your messages here. So Kweyo Simba Wilfred, you're saying, are we receiving the slides? Yes, these slides will come through along with the recording. All right, let's move forward. How do we get Excel? This is a question that most people ask, but I believe right now you're not asking yourself this question. You already have the tool. That's my assumption. But there are several ways that we're going to be discussing here, how you can get and use Microsoft Excel. You can use this tool completely for free, and we also have paid options. However, you need internet if you want to use Office applications entirely for free. Why do you think we have them for free and we also have paid versions? Why do you think so? Of course, there is always a difference between the free tool, something that you get completely for free, and something that you pay for. All right, so how do we get these apps here? I've just explained to you. But one of the methods that we can use to download from the internet or other sites, if you want Office 365, you can download it and then pay the license. You will get this all these apps that you're seeing on your screen, or you can actually get a copy from your computer shop, and they will give you a pirated one, of course, something that is not paid for. They will give it to you. And I believe that's what we are using, most of us. Or you can actually log on to the office.com that we talked about and use these things absolutely for free. We want to get a little bit practical, and our interest in this part of the session is to get familiar with the Microsoft Excel. So we shall go through some things, including, for example, understanding the launching of Microsoft Excel. We go through some various methods that we can use to launch the app itself. And we shall also, describe or look at the start screen, the welcome screen, the options of launching a blank workbook. How can we use the built-in templates and custom templates? If we get time, we shall go through the Excel interface, and in here we can learn about how to save files. Do we understand the ribbon itself, the grids, the columns, the rows that we talked about, the worksheets, the status bar, and so many other things, okay? So let me know that this really sets ground on what we are actually headed for. And if we get time, I don't know if we shall look at how to customize the ribbon and the quick access
toolbar right there. And in our first part, or in our first session for this particular few classes that we shall have on introducing ourselves to Excel, we shall understand what a ribbon is, customize, look at some of the things that can't be customized, how to create our own ribbon tabs, how to do grouping, how to do labels and icons. And then in part 2, we shall move forward. And then once we get familiar with the ribbon, because most of the tools are always in the ribbon that we might be looking for, then we shall now introduce ourselves to working with Excel practically, maybe entering data and doing some calculations. Okay, so let's move forward and introduce ourselves. How do we actually launch this particular tool? Now that it has been installed from whichever shop you bought your laptop and they have installed for you the tool, how do you get to it? One method that we talked about is launching this particular tool from the search area here, from the program list. So what you do, you come in your search area right here. Let me just activate my cursor highlighter. So you come over to the search area on your taskbar and type in Excel. Just type in Excel like this. You will see that particular program on top to actually be sitting on top, depending on the keyword that you're supplying here in the taskbar search area. This entire area here is called the taskbar for Windows operating system users. And we have the search bar right here where you can launch any program. Okay, so you type here Excel, you will see it appearing in the list. So right there, you can just tap on this particular icon and that will launch into Excel. So when Excel launches, you will see what is called the home screen. We shall be coming back to this particular screen and understand a few things that are here, but I believe everyone has seen this before. Okay, I'll just close this one off. The other method that you can use is just having your shortcut key on your desktop. So like, for example, I have this particular Excel already appearing on my desktop. How did I add this one? I'm going to be showing you in just a moment. So what I did, I came over to the search bar right here and I punched in Excel. Once I located this particular tool, I right mouse click and then I say open file location. Do the same, say open file location. When you do this, it will actually take you to the programs list and it will show you all these Microsoft Office applications. So once you get here, you can right mouse click on the program that you want to copy and paste on the desktop like this. So I'll just copy this and come over to the desktop and paste. So once you do that, you will get your icon for that particular program showing on the desktop. Because for me, I already have it. That's why it is asking me, do you want to replace the file in the destination? Of course, because I already have it, I will either replace or I can actually cancel. But for your case, if you never had this particular app on your desktop, then it will actually be made available. Okay, I just exit here. The other method that we can use is we can actually launch or actually pin it on the taskbar here. You can see on my small taskbar here, if I actually open this particular file, now that I have it on the desktop, what I can do when I come over to my taskbar, I can right mouse click and then choose this option here, pin to the taskbar. I'm just pinning it to the taskbar. So when I click this option, it will be pinned. I can close this one off. Now, when I actually come back and check on my taskbar, you can see this icon for Excel is right here. So I've just pinned it. Next time I want to open or launch this particular tool faster, I can just come over to my taskbar and open a blank new Excel file. Okay. The other method is we can actually launch this particular blank file from an existing workbook. For example, what I will do, let me just create or just get one Excel file and have it on my desktop as a sample. So what I will do, I'll create a blank file from scratch. Let me do that faster as we wait for our colleagues to rejoin. Let me hope that colleagues who are not seeing the screen, you're back and you are able to see. I'll just create a file here and maybe I call it student file. Okay, I've just saved this file on the desktop. Now, assuming that next time I want to launch Excel, I don't have the shortcut. I can't actually come over to the search area to do the search for this application. I don't have any pinned option here on the taskbar. I can actually launch this existing file, it will still open, and then it shows me whichever content might be here. This is a blank file, there's nothing. So what I do, I come over to the file menu, and then I say new. Once I do that, it will take me back to the start screen, and now I can create a blank workbook. Once I do that, this will give me option now to work out a blank new workbook and create a new file, and also save it as an independent file. So those are the options that we can use. Okay, after you've opened your file, you'll be launched into what is called the home screen. So let us do that. Let us launch our program from either the taskbar or whichever area, and now it will give you this particular home screen. This entire area that you're seeing here is what we call the home screen. You have this bar here that has these buttons here, the home button, which is by default selected every time you open a new blank workbook. You also have this button here that allows you create new Excel files, and we also have this folder icon that allows you open existing files. And down here we can check inside the account, or we can update our license, we can give feedback to Microsoft, we can also go over to options and do some customizations. Then you'll actually get this particular greeting here. I believe it's a good evening right now. That's why I'm getting a good evening greeting from Microsoft. Okay, so this pops up automatically. And then we also have this blank workbook option here. This is what you can click if you want to actually open a blank Excel file. So if you click here, this will be a tour. I'll just try this maybe. I click in here once. So this will ask me, do you like to take a tour? If I'm fine, then I'll just say create. When I do that, it walks me through the 10 easy steps for the skills that I will need as a beginner if I want to make good out of Excel. You get the idea? So feel free to explore this area depending on the version that you're running. I'll just X this one out. And we also have these as templates. We also have built-in templates that you can work with. You can feed on these particular existing templates. Some of them are provided by Microsoft, and other templates can be downloaded from other people who develop these particular templates. But in case you're completely new, please, you have this template option here that you can feed on. Let us click here so that we can see what are some of the templates that are available here. So this will take us to the new big tab here, and then we are interested in creating something new. But of course, if you don't have any idea, maybe your interest is to create an invoice. I'm just using it as an example. You can come here and get inspiration from the existing templates. Okay, can punch here. You need to be connected to the internet. You can punch here and say invoice, and then search. This one will search from the thousands of invoices that Excel provides. And yes,
we're putting it on the home screen. I didn't get it. Can you kindly repeat it for me?
So this is what we did. If we actually want to open Excel, we said you can actually have a shortcut like I have here on my desktop. Similarly, you can have the app itself pinned on your taskbar, or alternatively, you can actually use the search area to search for that particular app called Excel. So you have liberty to choose any of those options. If you're actually asking how do we pin this one here, I'll show you one more time. I'll just unpin, right mouse click on the app and unpin it, and I launch it from the desktop. Once it gets launched and it shows me here inside my taskbar, I can right mouse click and pin it one more time. So this is how you can pin any app on your taskbar depending on the system that you're using. Okay, but we are showing you from the Windows operating system point of view. Okay, let me hope, Laurent, that's what you asked. In case it isn't, I believe your question will be answered as we move forward. Let me check my battery here. I might be tempted to switch to another machine as if my battery is 7 minutes to move or to go off. We are in a complete blackout here. Now, let's keep moving. I'll just turn on another machine here and switch to this later. Okay. All right. Now we are still going through the templates, the available templates that you can explore right here. So I'd shown you an example here of using an invoice. If I'm new to Microsoft Excel and I want to generate an invoice, I can come here and punch in here invoice, and search. This will move over to the internet and search through for the available invoices. Please, can someone confirm that my audio is fine from this new machine?
We can hear you clearly.
All right, so we have invoice templates here that you can explore. Pick whatever you think is good for you, and you're good to start from there. So there are a lot of things that you can feed on at the beginning if you're completely new. So for example, if I'm interested in this particular type of design for my invoice, so don't always, start your own from scratch. There are a lot of templates available. I can just say create. So once I do that, this will give me a template that I can feed on. I can make a few customizations here. I put in my company name, I put on the logo, invoice number. Everything is pretty well designed for me. I can punch in the items that I'm quoting for, and everything will be good to go. You can make changes, existing templates. So you have that area right there for you. I can actually close this one out, launch Excel one more time, and then we'll look at some of the other features that are always on the home screen. I also have this area that you're seeing here. This is where you will be shown the recent documents that you have opened. So these are some of the documents that I have opened of recent. Let me check in the pinned. I also have 2 documents that I have pinned on my area here. Why do I pin them here? It's because I want to access them every time I need them. Sometimes when this recent particular area here gets cluttered, or if a lot of files have been opened, it will also become cumbersome for you to navigate, to search through which file do I need to access this time. You get the idea. So if you actually have or use this particular pinned area, you can pin all your most recent commonly accessed files right here. And it's pretty much simple. You can actually right click on a file, right mouse click, and then you say pin to the list. Are we together? If I actually want this file, this is a file that is called Dashboard Students Advisors. It's a file I opened for one of our colleagues. I believe you're also in class. I've checked your work here that is submitted. So if I wanted to check this file or pin it on the pinned option here or pinned documents, I can just right mouse click and then I'll say pin to the list. Let me do that. I click here. Now when I come in here, you can see the pinned list. I have 3 files now. I can actually right mouse click and say unpin from the list. Now together. Or I can actually say remove from the list. All these options are readily available for you. All right. Now let's assume that you have successfully launched your system. You've opened a blank new file. What will you always see? Are we together? There are a lot of things that you will see. You will see something on the top here, which we call the quick access toolbar. You shall see how to customize this area as well. Now also have things called the menus, all the ribbon tabs. You can see these tabs right here. These are called the main menus, or you can call them the main ribbon tabs. Yes, by default, you'll have around 9 showing on your system. I don't know what might be showing on your system right now, but in most cases, you'll have 9 of them or 10. Some of them are hidden. We shall see how do we show those ribbon tabs that we are interested in. Okay. And everyone will have different ones. Again, as we move forward in the next session, we shall see how do we create our own ribbon tabs. But again, when you click on any of the main menus or the ribbon tabs, what will pop up here is what is called the ribbon. These icons or commands where they show from, this area is what we call the ribbon. Now, just right below your ribbon, you'll see some key areas here that I need us to discuss. Okay, one of the key area you'll see is what is called the name box. This area here where my cursor is. Can people confirm that my screen is still on?
Yes, you are clear and the screen is on.
All right. As we move forward, this area will become very important in creating what we call named ranges. You'll see how this particular name box is used. One of the uses of this particular area here is to navigate through your cells. For example, right now, when I click in any of the cells, as you can see, I'll just zoom in a little bit so that you can see the cells themselves. So if I click in any of the cells, you'll see the particular cell address given back to me inside the name box. So the name box will always tell you which cell address you're clicking in, which cell address you're actively working with at the moment. And in an advanced level, we shall see how we can use these ones to create, or this particular name box to create named ranges, which we sometimes call structured references. Now, just next, we have what is called the formula bar. And there are so many things that the formula bar does. We shall actually go through some of them. One of the things that the formula bar does, it shows you the contents of the cell. For example, if I come here and punch in my name, I'll just come here and punch in my name, Birungi Godfrey, and hit enter. So I have my name in cell C3, as you can see in the name box. But when I click in here, you see in the formula bar, I'm seeing Birungi Godfrey. So one of the uses of this particular formula bar is to show the contents of the cell. The other thing is we use that particular formula bar, of course, to write our formulas or to show the formulas that we are writing. So these areas are very critical. Don't just bypass them. Just look at everything, explore what it does. As a new person to Excel, explore each individual item that you're seeing. But of course, in this particular course, we shall show you the most important areas, and then we move forward. Write down the formula bar and the name box. You see what is called the grid. Are we together? So if we are able to, if you want to select this entire grid, we do this. But again, this grid is actually represented by two things here, the column and the rows. So all these columns that you're seeing, A, B, C, D, E, F, and so on and so forth, together with rows 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, up to the last row, which I believe I did show you how many rows we have in our previous classes, form what is called the entire grid of cells. Now, this entire grid here, let's talk about the columns. So the columns are denoted by capital letters, as you can see. They are denoted by alphabetical letters, and they always start from letter A, B, C, D, and so on and so forth. Now, do we know what is the last column letter that we always have here? For the people who have been using this tool, I believe you have taken time to find out. I can see A, B, C, D, but when I scroll to the sides here, let me just scroll and see if I can actually get to the end. Is it possible to get to the end? Can someone unmute? Maybe I can speak with the doctor. So doctor, is it possible to scroll through and end these particular columns here?
Control right arrow key.
Control right arrow key. Who is this? I didn't pick the name, but you can come on the mic. Someone who said control right arrow key.
It's me, Kamran.
Yes, someone said, oh, this is Kamran. This is Kamran from Pakistan. Yes. Now, these column letters that you're seeing here, they run from A, B, C, D, up to some column on the far right there. But I don't know that particular column, how it is called. And if I want to find out, I can use the shortcut that Kamran is giving us. Control, Shift, right pointing arrow to move over to the last one. But I will show you how to use the formula method as well. So I'll just say Control, Shift. I can just say Control, right pointing arrow. Once I do that, this will take me to the very last column of my worksheet. Are we together? This is what we call a worksheet or the grid itself. So once these things combine, they form what is called a grid of cells, which later form what is called a worksheet. So like you can see right now, we are working with sheet 1. Are we together? And each individual workbook can host up to 255 worksheets. So you can add as many worksheets as you can here, sheet 1, sheet 2, sheet 3, up to sheet 255. If I wanted to know the number of columns that are available to me, because you know, data that we work with inside Excel is arranged in tabular format. And we know that each individual column is the one that houses or gives us the field names or the column names that we use to house our data. Now, how many columns are available to you? Let us find out. We use a small formula, or we write a small formula, and we use some function called the columns. So I'll come here. Yes, as if someone is speaking. I don't want to cut anyone off. In case you're speaking, please just unmute and speak so that I can stop on my side. Once I hear you persistently speaking, then I will stop. Okay? So if I want to find out, I'll say equals, and then I open the columns function. Columns function. Once I open the columns function, it requires that I give it an array. Once I give it an array, it will tell me how many columns are there. Now I'll just give them, or I just give this columns function this array from row 1. I just highlight the entire array because my interest is to highlight from A all the way through to XFD. I want the columns function to tell me how many columns are from A up to XFD, which is the very last column. I'll just close this columns function from here and hit enter key on the keyboard. Once I do that, it tells me how many columns are available for me. So I don't know if you will ever have a table in your data that you're housing inside Excel that goes up to 16,384 columns. Is that table there for sure? Even if it was there, I wouldn't advise you to have that particular huge table. You have to break it down into small chunks so that you can manage it better. Otherwise, we have 16,384 columns available for us. Okay?
Excuse me, Godfrey.
Yes. Yes.
How did you enter the formula? Just redo it again.
Oh, how did I enter the formula? So let me just remove what is here. So what I did, I said equals, and then I opened the columns function. You open the columns function. What does it do? It returns the number of columns in an array or reference. We shall see how to use this particular columns function when we start working out VLOOKUP to see how this particular function can become in handy. But one of the uses I can use this particular function for is to know how many columns are in a range. So what I did, I opened my function and I highlighted this range, and you can see it is denoted by 1 full colon 1. It means that it's running all the way through all the columns available. So it means starting from A all the way through to the last column that we saw. So I close this from here and enter. So this one told me how many columns we have. Are we together? Now, similarly, we can know how many rows are available, because remember we said one of the uses of Microsoft Excel is to house data, is to keep raw data. Now we want to know in one single worksheet, how many rows of data can we have? We have just seen how many columns. Are we together? And we know that columns would have our column headers or our field names for our tables that we use to house raw data. So let us work out the rows. What I will do, I'll say equals rows function, and I can highlight this particular column here and then close off and hit enter key on the keyboard. So you have available 1 million rows and 16,384 columns that you can use to keep your tabular data. So that's huge. That is only one single worksheet. Remember, we said each one single workbook can house up to 255 worksheets.
Okay, sorry. I wanted to add on the how can you find the number of rows? Like what one of our colleagues just told us, that you can use the control and right arrow key. The same for the arrows. You can just use the control and down arrow key, and you get the total number of rows.
All right. So I click in any of these cells and say control down pointing arrow. You see, this will take me to the very last row down here. This is the last row I can go. So if you have 1,048,576 rows of data, this is what will fit inside one single worksheet. All right, so can we move forward? Is everything fine? As if we had some hands up. Mark Chacha, that's the name I'm seeing here. Mark Chacha.
Yes. I wanted to ask, how can we get the number of rows? Though the column, I've seen it, the easiest way to get it, whereby we use the control and the arrow down. And when we go about the rows.
This is the rows. This is the rows that we have shown you. Control down pointing arrow. So, I don't know how I can draw that arrow here. So on your keyboard, you have some arrows. Let me just draw
that
some
one I
arrows
understand.
Here.
Yeah, that one I understand. Now let's get yes, that one an arrow, yes. Now let's go to the column.
The column. So for the column, let me just duplicate here. For the column, it will be control with this arrow on your keyboard.
Okay, control. Okay, let me, because I'm working here with you, because I want to know it.
Yeah, do that. Do that real quick.
Okay,
You
yes.
also have this arrow.
Yeah, it's
And
okay.
you also have this arrow.
Oh yeah, I've got it.
All right. So learn how to use these arrows on your keyboard. These are very powerful shortcut keys that you can use to navigate your worksheets? I believe that question is fantastic. In this particular status area, when you right mouse click, you see a number of options here. And one of the options, or all these options, can be turned off or on. Are we together? For example, if you want some averages or count or, you know, summation, numbers of things, if I actually randomize some numbers here, I'll say equals rand between. I'm just trying to generate a simple table here so that I can show some few things. I'll open the rand between function, randomize numbers between 1 all the way through to 1000, and enter. So I'm just generating some numbers here, random numbers. Okay. Now, if these numbers are highlighted, for example, in this particular column, when I highlight, you can see in my status bar, I have these numbers showing. I have the average for the range that I have highlighted. I also have the count of how many rows I've highlighted. And I also have the summation of these numbers. So this is how the status bar can also become helpful to you. If you just want to look at, you know, a simple summation and you don't want to do the addition, then you can just highlight the numbers and check here. This is the average, this is the count, and you can turn these things on and off from here, from the status bar. We shall keep coming back to these things because our entire life is going to be spent in this particular interface. So we shall come back and look at some of the things. But I believe for starters, we have introduced ourselves to the interface. Are we together? So let me just highlight this column. It's called column I. And when I actually highlight this row number 2, where they meet, this area here where they have met, is what we call a cell. And it is the cell that will keep working in for the rest of your life. All numbers, all formulas are written in cells. That's why you have a special class for cell referencing. Understanding cell referencing is very important. We have that special class for you coming up, and we shall again come back and understand these cells. Okay?
By the way, if you're finding these classes interesting and you're enjoying, please let me know in the comment section. Leave a like on this video, and also don't forget to subscribe to this YouTube channel so that you don't miss on any future classes like this. For now, let's head over to our next lesson.